Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about working with radio buttons. Now, radio buttons, first of all, let's take care of the properties. So I'm going to call the properties. And what you want to make sure is you want to make sure that on the appearance side, you're going to set it at 8 points, make the color blue, no border fill, no fill. We're going to come over here to the options, and you want to make sure you have that at check, not circle, but make that check. Okay. Now, much like, let me come back here to general, much like with all the other form fields, every form field has its own identity. Now, when making multiple copies, the multiple copy option can only work with that group. You can't do it for the entire form. For example, let's say we have two groups here with 4 choices. So you might think, all right, well, we're going to make 8 multiple copies. Well, not really, and I'll show you why. So when I come over here, I'll say create multiple copies, and then I'll say 8 down and 1 across. All right, so I'll take these 4 here, and I'll just move them down to here. Okay, and then let's say, for example, I'll space this out here, and then I'll move this over here, space this out, and I'll use that distribute vertical option just to space them out vertically. Okay, so now, as you can see, the group number on all of these, they're the same. But watch what happens when we preview this. Let me just close this down for now. If we preview this, all right, I'm going to click on this. Now watch what happens. I check 1, and then I check 2, check 3, I come down here, and I check 1, check, these go away, all right? Because basically it sees all of this, it sees these 2 groups as one. So in other words, these 2 groups need to behave separately. And that's not happening, all right, because they all have the same name. So here's what has to happen. I'm going to come back to the edit mode. I'm going to clear the form, all right. So what has to happen is each group has to have its own identity. So when you do multiple copies, you can only do multiple copies for the group. So let's say, for example, now if I come here and I'm going to go to properties, and I'm going to change that group to, instead of 276, I'm going to change that to 277. All right, and actually what I want to do is I'm going to change them all, so I'll highlight all 4 of them, and then I'll change that to, change that group. All right, I thought I could do it. Oh yeah, I think I can do it. Let's see, 277. Let's see if that'll work. 277. Let's see. Well, we want that to be group 277, so we'll just say group 277. All right. So we'll say group, put in the GROUP 277, and we'll say close. All right. So now we have group 276 and group 277. Now watch what happens when we preview it. So now we can do this, this, or this, or we can do this, this, or this. So now they behave separately because they're in 2 different groups. So the main takeaway here is that when you do multiple copies, there has to be multiple copies for each group, because if they all have the same name, then it will be seen as one gigantic group, and it's going to defeat its purpose. So that's how you can handle the radio buttons if you have an option that requires choices.